Coming up, is Trump recreating the movie Minority Report in real life? Plus, JD Vance isn't even his real name. Also, we review our first stop on our barbecue tour of America. Alrighty, another week. It's another show. I just saw the most kick-ass movie starring Tom Cruise. It was called Minority Report. Have you seen this? It came out over 20 years ago, and I'd actually already seen it. But it was on Paramount, so I thought, what the heck, I'll give it a watch. Man, this was the scariest movie I've seen in a long, long time. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but basically, the government can see crimes before they happen, and they take action to stop these crimes from being committed in the future. But the catch is they have to utilize these autistic kids that were born addicted to drugs, and they're basically slaves to the system. That's not the scary part. I don't really care about the autistic slave kids. No, the scary part is that now, in 2025, the government locking you up for things you haven't done yet seems more plausible than ever. So then my thoughts started to drift. I started to think about this new database that Trump is touting, the one with a file on every American. And probably the scariest thing about that is who he has hired to run it. Palantir. Have you heard of this company? You should know who they are. You've probably heard of Peter Thiel, but there's another founder of this company, and he has said some really bizarre stuff over the years. His name is Alex Karp, and he really believes that one day the white Christians in America will do another Holocaust against Jews. Totally unfounded. Totally insane. Paranoid person. Also, a billionaire who's watched one too many Spielberg movies. This is who's going to be running Skynet down at this new database. And so I was thinking about Minority Report and what the future might hold, and I think I found the answer. It's the Department of Pre-Anti-Semitism. Just imagine this. In the not-too-distant future, you're on TikTok and you're watching videos that IDF soldiers themselves posted, shooting Palestinian kids and laughing about it. Or you see the CEO of AIPAC bragging about the control they have over the White House. And you start to think, your mind starts to entertain the idea that Israel isn't our greatest ally after all. Suddenly, Tom Cruise and his futuristic band of cyber police crash through your windows, that crash through your skylight, and you're under arrest. And there's no trial. There's no evidence. It's just you're in jail. And it's not just any jail. They put this device on your head, and it incapacitates you. And you and everybody else who notices gets dragged down to this warehouse where they store you forever. I couldn't help but notice that the incapacitated people look like they're concentrating really hard. So while I was watching this movie, I was calling the jail a concentration camp. Get it? And that's not my best joke, obviously. Pretty low-hanging fruit, actually. But it's the type of thing that will get you a life sentence in the future that Trump is creating. I'll give you a great example. Do you remember when Elon Musk said that the Biden administration had sent $50 million worth of condoms to Gaza? All right. And do you remember the next day when Trump came out and said that Hamas was using the condoms to make helium-filled bombs that they were sending into Israel? Do you remember that? Well, I remember it because I was one of the people who said, that's bullshit. I remember thinking, what a ridiculous lie. And I wasn't alone. Tons of influencers and high-profile people said the same thing. But there was a week there between when Trump made that claim and when it was disproven, where anyone who didn't believe the story was accused of anti-Semitism. They said the only reason you would doubt that Hamas was using condom bombs to attack Israel is if you hate Jews for no reason. Ridiculous. This means it's anti-Semitic to not trust every single thing a Jewish authority says. It doesn't matter how ridiculous the thing you're hearing sounds. If it's a statement made by the ADL or someone like Benjamin Netanyahu, you have to believe it. Otherwise, you're a hateful bigot. Sounds like the Department of Pre-Anti-Semitism is going to have their hands full. One other thing I wanted to say about Peter Thiel. This guy's got his hands in everything. I don't know if you've noticed. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. There seems to be this Manchurian Candidate thing going on with Peter Thiel and JD Vance. Thiel, of course, bankrolled Vance's Senate run a few years back, and Vance has referred to himself as a venture capitalist when pressed about his work in the private sector. Well, it turns out he just got a bunch of money from Thiel to do those things, but they were already partners, so this was just Thiel essentially making it appear as if Vance had a history of selling investors on himself and his ideas. Palantir seems to be a fake company, and JD Vance seems to be a fake politician. What do I mean by that? In addition to these dubious connections to all these gay spook billionaires, the man has changed his name no less than 3 times. He was born James Donald Bowman. However, when his mother got divorced from his father, Donald Bowman, she changed not just his last name to her maiden name, but she also changed his middle name from Donald to David. So right there, you just know that his single mother was doing all kinds of damage to this poor guy growing up. So he goes through the military. He does a few tours in Iraq. He comes home. He goes to Yale. And he does all this under this new name, James David Hagel. And he meets his wife as Hagel. She thinks she's marrying Hagel. But now his crazy mom's getting married again. And so he takes the last name of his new stepfather, Demetrius Vance, morphing into his final form, James David Vance. And I'm sorry, I just think this is weird. He's already cemented his own legacy under one name. But he's so desperate to be a part of an intact family that he takes his new stepfather's last name when he's 30 years old. It's bizarre, and I'm not going to try to figure him out either. I'm just going to write him off, even without all the name stuff. His movie lets you know he's trash. They turned his book into a movie, and it's been on Netflix for 4 years. Do you really think that Netflix is going to let anything substantive from the right wing stay on their platform for 4 years? Of course not. He's a cancer, and they know it. That's why they want you to watch his movie. So we definitely have to keep an eye on this guy. One thing I noticed, I was behind this truck today. The truck had Trump stickers from multiple elections, and I noticed that Vance and Pence are very similar names. The only difference being the VA and the PE, and I immediately thought penis and vagina. Is that weird? Is that juvenile? It just kind of jumped out at me, but let me know what you think in the comments. And if it's a secret shout out to all non-gays. Lastly, we had reviewed this Jewish barbecue spot in Colorado for our first stop on our barbecue tour of America. But in light of recent events, covering a Jewish barbecue in Colorado is going to get us kicked off YouTube, so that will have to be postponed. Shout out to the Brisketstein family, though. They really showed us some great hospitality and some great food. If you're out in Denver, check them out. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and all that other stuff. See you next week with more fake garbage.